life is real. We can't take away from how difficult life is. I made a post the other day where, one area of my life is popping, is exciting. It's a lot of opportunities are happening. And then another area of my life, I found out for my licensure, I have plenty of hours actually. I'm actually over hours. However, there was this error on a form, and now I have to hunt down someone that hopefully I hear from them. If not, it prolongs my process, and that was very frustrating. And so again, you can have sometimes a seemingly dichotomy where you're excited and all the things are happening for you, but in the other area, you're like, you know what? I'm not sure. That God is frustrating me. That just don't sit well in my spirit. And so let me.
Hi, everybody. Lee Scott here. Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee, where we talk about life, leadership, and legacy, and we want to help you unleash your capacity and level of leadership. I'm so excited because today I have a returning guest. She is the first returning guest on Leading with Lee. So it's truly an honor to have her on again, and especially when it being Mental Health Awareness Month. It's so great to have her. So she is a licensed therapist. She is a speaker, and today we're gonna give her a new title.
I'm not licensed yet. Not yet. Process.
In the process of getting her license again. Amen. We already speaking to existence. Anyways, and today I'm gonna give her a new title, which I am excited to give her. She is a mindset coach. Please welcome back to Leading with Lee, Annielle Timmons. How you doing, Annielle?
Hi, I am well. That is such a great introduction. Thank you, Lee. I am doing amazing, and thank you for having me again. Did not know I was the first returning guest.
Yes.
So I am very grateful for that. Wow. Thank you.
Well, you had such an impact on us last time. I mean, why won't we bring you back again? So let's kind of jump right into it. We were talking a little bit before, but how are you doing? What's going on in your world? I mean, I think we had you on in 2021. And so a lot has happened in our lives in the last 2 years. So what's happening in Annielle's world?
Wow. So my speaking business took off, thank God. And I started doing more paid speaking engagements, more mental health webinars, volunteering with other mental health organizations to speak on their platform to bring mental health awareness to the community as well as the Black community, because, there's still that stigma around mental health, and just to empower people to really put their mental health first, God first, mental health first.
Yeah.
But in the clinician world and speaking world, I definitely hit on a lot of the mental health aspects and why that's so important. And so I share my story, I share my journey of mental health and why that's important. Like I said, in hopes that other people find that liberation and freedom and putting their mental health first and really prioritizing that. And so speaking business, got back into therapy. So I believe in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, I believe I took a break from therapy. I believe so, if I'm not mistaken.
I remember you sharing
okay.
that.
Yeah. Okay. I really felt a call from God away from that. It could have been burnout. I was doing so many virtual sessions. What I'm saying?
I can only imagine. Oh, I can only imagine.
I'm a quality timer. So pouring from that place where you love and you receive your love, that was a whole lot. Seeing 30 people a week and back-to-back sessions. So got a little burned out, but I did have this sabbatical time with God and just really pouring into my relationship with God and really just getting grounded and figuring out where God wanted me to go. And so speaking business, back, finishing up my licensure, actually found out that I'm closer than I thought, and I'm going to be licensed, hopefully, name of Jesus, by the end of this year. What else? 2 more dogs later, I got 2 extra dogs, so now I have 3. I have a little zoo. And also bodybuilding. I gained about 11 pounds of muscle in the last year. And I am looking to do a bodybuilding show, which I think this is the first platform I share that on.
Wow. Well, we're on. You got it. We have a mutual exclusive right here. This is the exclusive. News alert. That's what we need to put on the thing. News alert. Today,
News
Annielle
alert.
shared. So that's,
Yes.
and what else were you about to say? I'm sorry. I cut you off.
Oh, I believe that's that. Yeah, I have a confidence webinar I'm going to be doing and getting people engaged in, how to build confidence, and that's going to be free, and that'll be coming up in the upcoming months, and a few other surprises and stuff that I'll be posting here and there throughout the summer. So,
Well, that's awesome. I mean, staying busy and multiplying your efforts and getting better at what you do is, I think, something we all want to do, right? I mean, since the last time you were on here, I actually did not have a blue background. So obviously a lot has changed, and I was doing it in my apartment and had no cameras. I didn't even have this camera. So that tells you a lot
mm,
has evolved and changed in the time that we since last had a conversation, but also just taking a lot of steps. And the funny part is, I'd have a dog now too. I just,
oh wow,
yeah, I just got a dog. She's I don't know. This is not about our dogs, but since we're on here on the topic, my
mm,
dog is I got a black lab. She has some Scottish Terrier in her, but she's a trip.
okay,
She's great, but I we got to
aw.
train her. She's so young, the
How
young
old is
dog.
she?
She's 4 months old, and
Oh, she's really young, so she's very rambunctious and
oh,
busy right now. And
child, if we had the time, we would be there all day if we had the time. But moving on, because we could stay there.
Mhm, mhm.
So I in my intro I shared that I do describe you as a mindset coach. I think you, through your social media and just seeing some things you're doing, you really have displayed this idea of trying to challenge people to really transform their minds, but also think about how can they can be better. So, what are some of the things that you are looking at as far as the mindset? As I stated earlier, it's Mental Health Awareness Month. What are some of the things that you see amongst your clients, and in engaging people and how they think about themselves? What are some of the things that you're seeing in your work?
Oh, that's a loaded question, but let's see. Some of the things that come up in therapy, I would say lately has been a lot of imposter syndrome,
Yeah, yeah,
and that a lot of people are going through transitions into like new phases of their life. It could be motherhood, it could be a new position, it could be into that salary position that they've been dreaming about or wanting. It could be becoming a wife. It could be becoming a husband, a father,
mhm,
whatever that transition is. Or they're speaking. Some people have started like different businesses, or they have presentations because of a company, and now they have to speak on a platform, which is, I think that's like one of the top most feared things is speaking.
oh, oh yeah, oh yeah,
So many different things. What else? Like, I would say imposter syndrome of some sorts. And people, and even if someone's starting, like I see like people starting businesses or they're starting something, they almost feel like they don't belong in that place,
yeah,
and and start questioning their worthiness, and that inner critic just starts firing off. Us Christians would say the devil, in the therapy and clinical world, we would say the inner critic. And
yeah,
so that inner critic firing off and just saying like, do you think you're worthy? Do you're
mhm,
going to fail?
yep.
Why did they choose you? You don't deserve to be here,
Ooh,
making certain people feel like they can't speak up in meetings. And so I see a lot of the imposter syndrome.
wow, wow. It brings up an interesting thought. Um, especially because of just nurture and nature. Do you think that plays a role in imposter syndrome, like the environments we might have grown up in, or you know, our childhood or anything like that?
Absolutely. So if a person has experienced trauma in their childhood, generally they have more difficulty regulating emotions. They can have lower self-esteem.
Mm,
Physical abuse as well has been shown to lead to low self-esteem into adulthood. And so I think for a lot of people who have went through, trauma issues early on, or may have not had a healthy relationship with a parent or caregiver, then, that can kind of show up in their relationships and kind of show up in them feeling confident in themselves when they're going to do something new. Again, that inner critic starts firing off saying like, do you deserve to be here? You're not
Yeah.
capable. And
Yeah.
it just becomes that cycle of
Yeah.
questioning themselves and anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, that's super helpful. I mean, obviously, this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and there's a lot of people trying to navigate that difficult thing of, hey, what do I believe about me? And it's something you touched on as far as relationships, because I want to ask you about that. Obviously, all of us, no matter what stage or phase we are in our lives, we have some form of relationships in our lives, whether it be with our parents, whether it be a significant other, whether it be with our friends, whether it be with our work, whether it be with, in our case, our dogs, or for some people, their cats. We all have some form of relationships within our lives. How do you think our mental health is either shaping or affecting relationships in our lives?
Oh, definitely. I think that for a lot of people, when they're depressed, they may want to isolate.
Yeah.
They may not want to go and do the things that they once used to enjoy. They may not find pleasure in those same activities. And they may feel hopeless or helpless and want to, sit in the bed or only go to work and do the bare minimum. It could also affect, the relationship in that terms, like they don't want to do anything, or they come across as a Debbie Downer, or they can just be the person who, in a relationship, they don't really know how to be selfless.
Yep.
And because of there's so much in their head that they truly can't pour from that place of love or be emotionally available, because they're so consumed with what they're going through. It can also cause them to, self-sabotage, and they might have people in their lives, that love them, you know what I mean, and want to be there for them, but because of that depression or mental health, or they have that mentality that people are not loyal, or they have to question other people's loyalty or commitment to them because of childhood things, or people didn't show up, that fear of abandonment.
Oh yeah. I mean, and you could probably take about 10 or 15 minutes just talking about that one piece. Because that thing right there, where people are getting to a place where we start to question the legitimacy of people caring or loving for us, is a real thing. It's so interesting because when we last had a conversation, there were so many other things that was going in my life, right? I was living in Oklahoma at the time. I've since moved back to my home state. That's a whole experience of transition. There's trauma connected to, right? Because I was doing a particular thing in Oklahoma. I was in a relationship. I was in a different relationship then. There were so many other things going on in my life. I was working in the financial world. Like, there was a certain set of expectations and structures that was happening. Now I'm back home in Mississippi, but I'm living with my parents, right? I work for a nonprofit now. I'm just going through different transitions. I have a dog. These they're not, and some of them are not even bad things. They're just traumatic in the sense of that they're changing. And I've literally had moments where I've been like, a lot of good things are happening in my life right now, but I don't know if it's really supposed to be happening. You know what I mean? Like, why do you think people are undervaluing the goodness that might be happening in their lives? And there are people that are doing some bad stuff. Now, let's denote that. Like, there are a lot of people with difficulties. But why is it so hard for us to accept goodness sometimes?
You said a mouthful. So one thing that you said though is that you went through transition. So a lot of people think coming to therapy a lot of times has to be this big trauma that's taking place, but a lot of times it's just transition. It's that people have had a transition in their lives from a job to a relationship change to a financial stressor to something that has led them to therapy so they can process it. And so, as far as that goes, I think that like life is real. We can't take away from how difficult life is. I made a post the other day where, one area of my life is popping, is exciting. It's a lot of opportunities are happening. And then another area of my life, I found out for my licensure, I have plenty of hours actually. I'm actually over hours. However, there was this error on a form, and now I have to hunt down someone that hopefully I hear from them. If not, it prolongs my process. And that was very frustrating. And so again, you can have sometimes a seemingly dichotomy where you're excited and all the things are happening for you. But in the other area, you're like, you know what? I'm not sure. That God is frustrating me. That just don't sit well in my spirit. And so let me just off track a little bit. For me, I get frustrated when my plans are derailed. I'm an ambitious woman. I love to be busy.
You ain't the only one. You ain't the only one. All of us get that.
Some people, God has to be like, get up, do it, be bold, go.
Yes. That's
not my problem. My problem is I will take on so many things, and God has to say, slow your behind down. I didn't tell you to do that yet. Got it. I have a season for that. So for me, God has to sometimes slow me down. And so I can't tell you how that has been so frustrating, having a delay when I've been working at this licensure for about 4 years now. It's people that started after me and they're done. But every path is different, right? The steps of the righteous are ordered by the Lord. So I think that we have to orient ourselves and remind ourselves that there's still parts of our lives that we truly can enjoy.
Yeah.
And to consciously take time to experience gratitude and to, find those micro joys in our day, because, if we let ourselves, we will fly through a season that was really a good season of our lives, but we were just so busy trying to get to the next thing. We don't get to enjoy it.
That was so great. Like micro joys, that's like such a great way to think about receiving in a moment, like having affirmation of a moment. And I think I have not been good at that at all. I mean, especially now, like I think I'm probably the most emotionally healthy I've ever been in my life. I think that I am probably the most mature and aware that I've been in my life, especially now. I think I'm pretty clear about who I am and what I want to do and how I want to show up in the world and not allow myself. I guess it has something to do with me about to turn 30. I don't know what it is about when we get to the end of our 20s. We like, listen, I ain't got time for foolishness. I don't know what it is. It's just, I think it's because I'm going to turn 30 in a few months. I'm like, listen, this is me. If you accept it or not, you know what I mean? I don't know what it is, but it may be that. But yeah, It feels that way. It feels very much so like I'm kind of just like, it is what it is, and I'm gonna keep being the person that I am. I'm gonna keep trusting God. Like I think I'm the most authentic I've ever been, and so that has probably helped in some ways with just that process of, figuring out and discovering and I guess understanding where I am and what I'm doing.
Can I first really quick, I want to clap it up for you for that most authentic. People don't arrive at that place a lot of times. So in your 20s, if you've arrived there, I know you said you're going to turn 30, celebrate that. A lot of people don't get there. You know what I mean? As a therapist, I see so many people come into the practice and they're struggling with that self-discovery, self-awareness, being comfortable in their own skin, having confidence. And so you need definitely something to be celebrated and proud of.
Well, Annielle, thank you. I appreciate that. It took a lot of work. And I will tell my therapist the week after next, since it's Labor Day weekend, and I know this is gonna come out on Tuesday, but since it's Labor Day weekend, Oh, excuse me, Memorial Day weekend. Excuse me, I get them mixed up. They seem like the same holiday to me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But since
They
it's
gonna get
Memorial
you.
Day
They gonna
weekend, yeah, since it's Memorial Day weekend, I'll tell my therapist what you said the week after next. So we'll do
there you
that.
go.
But just real
Shout
quick,
out to her.
right. But let's take a break real quick. I'll be right back after this message. Hi, everybody. Lee here, and I want to give some information to you. Do you need someone to host an event or come and speak at your event? You can now book yours truly. Book me for your event by visiting www.leeascott.com. I am so excited to connect with you and do work with you. Much love, and let's get started. We are back. It's been so great to have Annielle on. Like, Annielle, the people have been getting some gems so far from you. I mean, you're just dropping so much wisdom as it relates to this subject of mental health and what it looks like. So let's keep talking about this subject. I want to ask you about this because I was doing a little bit of research before we had our conversation today. And obviously, we are both millennials. We kind of at the latter part of the millennial group, but we are seeing statistically the rates of anxiety and depression among millennials and Gen Z is like an all-time high. It's insane. Some of the stats that I've seen as it relates to our generations. So what do you think are some of the main drivers behind this phenomena in our time?
Well, we know that social media has been shown to that the frequency, the more someone is on social media, it shows a direct correlation to anxiety and depression, and that individuals who spend more time on social media, the likelihood goes up for anxiety and depression. And so we have grown up on our phones and on platforms that, affirm us in certain moments, and other moments they don't.
Oh, yeah.
And we see highlights of people's lives,
Oh, yeah.
unless someone's going, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Unless someone's going, like for me, I go on there with intention. I go on there like, okay, girl, I'm gonna get you got 5 minutes to be on here. And this is so you can engage, you can make a post, you can double tap on some people's, so show support, write comment. And I give myself social media increments. And I go on there with a purpose. I'm just not on there mindless scrolling. If I find myself doing that, it's like an instant, like I'll say within 5 minutes, I'll check myself and I'll try to pull back.
Wow.
So for me, I don't have the notifications coming to my phone on social media. The only notification I really have is the email, the calls, and the Bible app.
Wow.
So that's just to keep me from, if I'm trying to finish a progress note or if I'm trying to finish a presentation, I'm not getting distracted because James 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just like my picture, or I try to keep myself accountable to my goals. So
yeah, that's a great insight and strategy. It is, those of us who have iPhones, no disrespect to people who have Androids, but those of us who have iPhones, that do not disturb feature is clutch. Like it can be super helpful in helping us to use some wisdom in how we engage with social media and engage with apps and different things like that. I think that's great. It has helped me too, because when I'm at work, I think I set my phone to, like, when I show up to my job, like it will automatically go into work mode. So I don't even get text. The only time I get text messages, only thing I receive is text messages and phone calls from certain people. So I don't even see emails or all those different things or social media notifications. I have to actually go onto social media in order for that to happen, like legitimately.
Good.
So that's a great and phenomenal strategy, I think, to kind of temper some of those difficult things that we're experiencing. Um, as we get closer to the end, I want to ask you about this in particular, because obviously you just gave a strategy on how to deal with social media as it relates to your mental health. But what are some other exercises or things that you think people can do to improve their mental health or engage their minds in another way so that they won't be so cloudy in a sense?
I would say definitely for mental clarity, journaling.
Hmm.
It's basically
Yeah.
free therapy. And if you're blessed like me and you live by a few beaches, do
Come
some
on
journaling by the
now.
water. You know,
Come on now.
a little plug for Florida. You know what I'm saying? Don't move here. We got enough people now. Y'all done came from up north already. We done. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
Talk about it.
but if you can go in nature and journal, I really feel connected to God and nature, even if
Yeah.
it's sitting in the backyard with the beautiful oak trees and one of my good dogs, the good dog, not the other two that just,
Talk about
but
that.
the
That's
quiet
true.
dog.
Yeah, because dogs are
You
a
know, they
trip.
say you're not supposed to have favorites. You're not supposed to have favorites, but some dogs just are more mannerable. They
Amen.
just, you know,
Amen.
but the quiet dog, she's really good about just letting me do me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I feel connected to God with the sun, with being in nature, being out by the water. So if you, and sometimes I go sit on the little back step stairwell from at my job in the
Yeah.
office building, and I'll just eat lunch out there, and I'll just have straight up quiet time. Like
Yeah.
I don't need any music in my ear. I actually found this brown noise that's supposed to be very good for mental clarity and focus, and
Hmm.
I just play brown noise and I just sit and think. I love to just explore my thoughts.
Could you could you actually explain what brown noise? I've never heard that term, brown noise. What is brown noise?
So brown noise is similar to white noise, but in that like it's been shown to be very effective in focusing and relaxation. And
Mm.
so that was all I pretty much needed to see. I think I read an article or something that said it was helpful. And then I saw this Calm app commercial that was saying the same thing. And I
Oh
said, oh, that's all
yeah.
I need. It's good for you. And so I've been a fan of white noise.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, brown noise is supposed to be better and it's brown, so I play it
I was
and
listen, I
it
was trying so hard not to go there. You see, you went there, and I'm like, Lord, let me not mess with this. She's talking about brown noise. I'm like, Jesus, at least stay on focus.
you so
It's brown
but
noise. If y'all didn't know, we
brown
brown
noise.
folks. So as you were saying, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
He's so funny. So I play it. Today I took a nap and I fell asleep to the brown noise and it helps. And even at the airport, I was in the airport the other day and I had it in my ear so I didn't have to listen to all the chatter. And,
Yeah.
it's just really great for mental clarity. So I would say journaling, getting out in nature, taking time to explore your thoughts because a lot of thoughts are
Mm.
unsettled. And if we take the time to really explore our feelings or journal our feelings and process our thoughts, it can really be a form of writing therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, that was so good. If you know, I know Calm app is not a sponsor, but if they want to be one, we definitely should invest into Calm app. I think that's a great thing to have and super helpful. So let's get to the last few questions. And Yale, I mean, once again, you knocked out of the park as usual. I mean, I expected nothing less. And so I'm grateful that you came on. So what are some of the things that you're reading, you're listening to, and how are you investing in yourself as far as personal development?
Oh, I am always reading something. I'm one of those people where I listen to audibles, and my audible list can go from TD Jakes to Mel Robbins to, you know, don't judge me, y'all. Okay. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me? Don't, no. I listen to Lil David Goggins. Now I know some of y'all gonna be like, he cussed like a sailor. That man will get you out of the bed in the morning if you feeling so depressed, okay? And sometimes you need someone to tell you that you being lazy and you not doing right, okay?
Look, you do
So
what you got to do. Okay,
mhm.
whatever motivates you is what you need. So trust me, there ain't no judgment here. I'm still ratchet. I
Okay,
love
go ahead.
Jesus, but I'm still real ratchet.
Righteous and ratchet.
Right. It ain't that far away. Anyways, moving along. So, I was asked this question, and I think I might have asked you this the same question. You may have a different answer at this point, right? Some years ago,
Mhm.
and I always ask uh this question to guests because it was always asked to me every time I talk about it, about investing into other people. So, what is one way? I know you're doing a lot. I mean, you're doing so many incredible things, but how are you paying it forward, Annielle?
Ooh, I try to pay it forward through the social media,
Mm-hmm.
through doing webinars, speaking on different platforms. I spoke for the National Mental Health Alliance through therapy. And so I really like my clients, I found like they've had plenty of therapists and stuff. And so I found that like me showing up as my authentic self, I didn't know therapists don't do that. Like I seriously have
Mm,
had multiple therapy. I mean, multiple
wow.
clients say that their therapist was like boring and they didn't give feedback. They didn't give their opinion. They
Yeah.
didn't share anything about themselves.
Yeah.
And so any chance I get to use my story to help someone else or encourage someone. I have a little 16-year-old niece that lives in Tampa, and me and her were working on her self-esteem, and we are doing this assessment to help her with her self-esteem. I try to pour into my little nephews. I have 11 nieces and nephews, and I
Yeah.
try to pour into them in any way I can. And gym partner, always trying to we have these deep conversations at the gym. It's always, for me, it's always great to get a male perspective, a platonic relationship. So,
It's funny because my buddy who I work out with, every time we're in the gym, he's like 8 years older than me. So he's
mm,
so there's a level of wisdom and life experience that he has. But anytime we get in there, we either talking about the things of God, or we're talking about sports, or or we're having a very engaged discussion about something that we're both passionate about. And it's always so fascinating. But I always leave like, yeah, we worked out, but that conversation was great. You know what I mean? And it's
mm,
super helpful. And I think it's great that you are finding ways to really engage people and engage yourself and be better at what you do in that process. So here's my last question. I ask this all the time. I've asked you this before, but I think your answer probably has changed. I may need to go back and look at that episode and see what your answer was back
mm,
then. Just stick it
mm.
in this episode just to see how much you evolved. I probably should have looked it up and seen what your answer was. But I
Oh,
always
wow.
ask
Yeah.
this question: is what song would you use to describe yourself right now, and why is that the song?
Oh, Lee, this, by the way, I did look and listen to some songs. That was hard for me because it's hard for me to say, to label myself by one song. I will say that, let me go to it, some lyrics. I will say one song that I found very helpful was "This Is Life" by KB.
Hmm.
And basically, he's just saying if the stars were made to worship, and it's just this dude is a lyricist. I seriously was reading the lyric today on the Stairmaster, and I said, "Yo, how did I miss that punchline? How did I miss those crazy bars?" But I would say this song just that basically he's saying like I don't need your likes. I don't need your affirmation. It's not about me, it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
And I love that because even if because like you said before we got on here, you get and people think that speakers don't get nervous. I say excitement, but you get those feelings of that imposter syndrome can show up, like especially if
Mhm.
I'm going on stage.
Oh yeah.
And what helps me is realizing that God called me to this. It's not about me. it's about what I can give. People are showing up to get something out of what I'm presenting. It's not about my weave. It's not about this highlighter on my cheek. It's not about anything else besides the message and why God wants to use me in that moment, right?
Yeah.
And so this song just says like, I don't need your title. I don't need that. It's not about me. It's bigger than me. To me, it's about God. Even when I do talks that are corporate or they're not Christian related, you can feel that there's something different about me. You can hear it how I'm talking, that my thoughts are not something of me.
Yeah.
And so I always try to bring elements of faith. And so, yeah, my life is about God. And I love that song. That was one of the songs I chose because of just the concept that this is my life. Like it's not about me. I'm here to serve and give.
Yeah. Well, Annielle, once again, you knocked it out of the park, my friend. It's been such a joy and honor to have you on here again on Leading with Lee. Listen, we might have you on here a third time because it's always great to have you. so thank you.
And let me say, you're a great host though, y'all. Y'all have a gem. People would be asleep on you, but when you take off, they're gonna be like, you know what? I saw it. Lee is the best host, y'all. I have been interviewed. I have talked to so many people. You are the best host. You have a gift for this. You make people feel comfortable. It's a conversation. And sometimes my responses are dry in certain interviews because the person is not that engaging. So you have a gift, definitely.
Oh, thank you so much, Annielle. And I will be sending you advance in a few moments. So thank you. I'll be paying you off. All right, Annielle, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for watching and or listening to this week's episode of Leading with Lee. If you have not done it yet, subscribe on YouTube and all podcasting platforms. If you want to get more information and connect with me, visit me at www.leeascott.com or follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Lee A. Scott II or Lee A. Scott II. So thank you for watching. Much love, and let's get started.